The champagne hadn't even lost its fizz when I realized something was off. I was still basking in the quiet joy of moving into my first home, just a modest, two-bedroom bungalow on the edge of town, but it was mine, paid for with years of missed holidays, late shifts, and no safety net but myself. So yeah, I was proud. That's why, against my better judgment, I invited them. I hadn't spoken to my father in nearly a year, but he'd somehow heard about my new place through the grapevine, probably from an old mutual friend from church. He sent a message with exactly the kind of icy politeness that let me know I was still useful to him. It read, "Heard you bought a place. We'd love to stop by. Families should celebrate milestones together." It was signed, Dad, Marlene, and Annabelle. I should have said no, but guilt is a hell of a thing. They arrived late. My father, Gregory, always smelling like expensive scotch and cheap cologne, walked in like he owned the place. Marlene, his second wife, floated behind him in her usual tight smile and rhinestone-laced outfit, carrying a pie she didn't bake. And then came Annabelle. She made an entrance like it was a goddamn fashion show. Annabelle, 27, his golden child. My half-sister, that you'd think I was the adopted one the way I was treated. Even now, pregnant and dumped, she wore her entitled strut like a tiara. She waddled past my friends, placed a hand dramatically on her belly, and cooed, "Wow, Carter, this is surprisingly nice for a bachelor pad." I bit my tongue. She was always like this. Growing up, she got the hugs. I got the tuition bills. She got ballet lessons. I got silence in a cold room in a boarding school an hour away. My father had made it very clear when I was 8, boys need to be tough. You'll thank me when you're older. I never did. Still, that night, I tried to play host. I showed them the kitchen I'd remodeled myself, the tiny backyard with a grill I found on Craigslist, and the office where I worked remote gigs. My guests nodded politely, except for Dad, who lingered in the living room, eyeing the exposed brick wall like it was wasted potential. He asked casual questions, how much the place cost, who financed it, what my income looked like now. Questions that felt like small talk, but I knew better. Gregory didn't do small talk. Marlene sat on the couch, sipping her wine like a queen on a throne, and muttered, "It's cute." Not exactly family-sized, but cute. Something cold settled in my gut. I hadn't heard the word family tossed around that much since my mom died. My father didn't stay long. They left after an hour, but not before Marlene kissed my cheek with icy lips and Annabelle asked if I had any vegan snacks for the baby. I didn't. They walked out the door with half the pie and all my piece. I thought maybe that was the end of it. Maybe they just wanted to see how far I'd gotten without them. I was wrong. 3 days later, I got the call. I was waist-deep in code for a tech client in Seattle when Gregory's name flashed on my phone. I debated ignoring it, but curiosity got the better of me. "Hey, Dad," I said, keeping it neutral. "I need to see you." "Tonight," he said. "At your place. It's important." He hung up before I could respond. My gut told me to cancel. Instead, I cleaned the living room and brewed a pot of coffee, God knows why. They showed up at 8 p.m. sharp. Gregory walked in like it was his appointment. Marlene followed, wearing a leather jacket way too young for her, and Annabelle, red-eyed and sniffling, dragged behind them in an oversized hoodie that didn't fit her usual look. She looked miserable, but somehow still managed to scan the room like she was choosing curtains. They didn't take off their shoes. "What's going on?" I asked, half hoping someone died. That would have made more sense. Gregory placed his beer, he always brings his own, on my kitchen counter and looked at me like I was a toddler who broke a vase. "You've done well for yourself, Carter," he started. I didn't respond. That tone meant trouble. "You've built a life. Stable income. A house. Things that some of us struggle with," he continued, glancing at Annabelle, who dabbed her eyes delicately like a soap opera actress. "I'm not following," I said flatly. Gregory gave a long, theatrical sigh. "Annabelle's been through a lot. That man, Tommy, abandoned her the moment he found out about the baby. She's scared. Alone. And she can't stay with us, Carter. We don't have the space." My blood ran cold. "No. No way. I don't understand what that has to do with me," I said slowly. Marlene finally spoke, her voice sugar-laced venom. "You have plenty of room, Carter. And a camper out back too, right? Annabelle could use the house for a while. Just until the baby comes. Maybe a few months after that. You can stay in the camper. Or with friends. You're flexible." I stared at them, trying to blink away the absurdity. "You want me to move out of my house," I said, "for her?" Annabelle sniffled. I'm your sister. You're a grown woman who chose a job that pays in subscriptions. I snapped before I could stop myself. That did it. The air went thick. You think you're better than us? Marlene hissed. After everything your father's done for you. I barked a laugh. You mean sending me to boarding school to get me out of the way? Never showing up for birthdays? Forgetting I existed until you realized I make more than both of you combined. Annabelle shot up from the couch, her belly protruding like a guilt bomb. I need this house, Carter. I'm having a child, and I needed a family, I replied coldly. Didn't get one. Silence. Gregory stood, clenching his jaw. You always were ungrateful. And you always thought blood means obligation, I said. It doesn't. That night ended with a slammed door and a beer bottle left sweating on my countertop. I watched them pull away from my driveway, Annabelle dabbing her eyes while Marlene glared daggers through the windshield. I should have felt triumphant. But instead, I felt something else creeping in, something worse. This wasn't over. A week passed. No calls. No texts. I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd come to their senses. Maybe the shame of trying to evict your own son for a pregnant stepsister would finally seep through those Botoxed faces and beer-soaked egos. Then I came home to a car parked in my driveway. Not just any car, Gregory's dusty blue Chrysler. A minivan behind it. And two people already on my front porch. I stopped dead in the street. There, as casual as Sunday brunch, were Gregory and Marlene, sipping takeout coffee like they were waiting for a realtor to let them in. Annabelle stood next to the door, wearing yoga pants, a tank top that said, Mommy-to-be, and a smug smile that made my stomach twist. I didn't even pull into the driveway. Just left my truck across the street and jogged over. What the hell are you doing here? I asked, trying to keep my voice even. Oh, there he is, Gregory said, smiling like I was the rude one. We were just letting Annabelle get a feel for the place. You know, figure out where the nursery might go. Annabelle held up a paint swatch. Sunset peach. You're trespassing, I snapped. You don't get to just waltz in here and plan renovations. We didn't go inside. Marlene chimed in, rolling her eyes. Yet. I blinked. Yet? What part of no didn't you understand last time? I said, stepping up to block the door. This house is mine. You don't live here. You're not moving in. There's nothing to feel out. Annabelle huffed and crossed her arms, belly jutting like a loaded cannon. You're being selfish, Carter. I'm carrying a child, your niece or nephew, and you can't even offer a roof over their head. I can, I said. Just not this one. Gregory stepped in, lowering his voice like he was offering wisdom instead of bullshit. Listen, son, don't do this. Family steps up. That's what this is about. Annabelle's in crisis, and you have the means to help. Correction, I said. I have the means to help people who help me. You don't qualify. That did it. Gregory's jaw twitched. Marlene scoffed. Annabelle fake-sobbed. And then, just when I thought I'd heard the dumbest part of their plan, Gregory pulled a folded document from his coat pocket and handed it to me like it was a peace offering. What is this? I asked, already feeling the pit in my stomach opening wide. A lease agreement, he said. My world tilted. I scanned the paper. It was a joke. A printed lease agreement with Annabelle listed as the tenant and the rent listed as in-kind household contribution. No signatures. Just her name and mine, already filled in. You're kidding, I muttered. She's moving in next week, Gregory said calmly. We figured you needed time to adjust. You can take the camper out back, or maybe even get off my property. I growled, my pulse pounding in my ears. But they didn't move. That's when I did something I should have done from the beginning. I pulled out my phone and hit record. Say that again, I said, camera pointed at Gregory. Say she's moving in. Without my consent. His face twitched, like he couldn't believe I was actually recording him. You're seriously doing this? Marlene snapped. This is family, Carter. Don't be a child. Oh no, I said, voice cold. You don't get to play the family card when it suits you. Annabelle shrieked. This is harassment. You can't record us without permission. It's my porch, I said. It's legal. Gregory lunged forward to grab my phone. Instinct kicked in. I stepped back, tucked the phone behind me, and said, touch me, and I'll add assault to the list. That's when I saw it. Marlene dialing someone on her phone. I caught a glimpse of the screen before she turned away. You're calling the cops? I asked, stunned. For your own good, she said. You're clearly unstable. You're trespassing. But the call went through. Marlene, crocodile tears already building, told the dispatcher there was a domestic dispute, and she feared for her pregnant stepdaughter's safety. I froze. I was about to be ambushed in my own driveway by the same people who abandoned me at age 10, who forgot my birthdays, who now wanted my house. And they were calling the cops on me. So I did what anyone in their right mind would do. I dialed 9112. The patrol car arrived 10 minutes later. Officer Bailey. Nice guy. I'd seen him once or twice at the coffee shop near my old apartment. When he saw both parties on the line, he separated us immediately. Gregory went full theatrics, claiming I'd become aggressive and threatening, that Annabelle was feeling faint, that all they wanted was a calm conversation. I showed the officer the video. I'd recorded everything, the smug statements, the fake lease, the clear admission that they planned to move her in against my will. Officer Bailey's expression darkened. "You want to press trespassing charges?" he asked quietly, off to the side. I hesitated. Then I looked over at Annabelle, now sitting on my porch like a Greek tragedy, moaning about her poor baby. Marlene was holding her and whispering loudly, "He's not well, sweetie. He needs help." Gregory just glared at me with that classic expression, the one that said I was the disappointment. "Not yet," I said. "But if they come back, yes." Bailey nodded. "Say the word. I'll file a no trespass order." He turned back to them and spoke calmly but firmly. "If I hear of you returning here without permission, you will be arrested. This is your final warning." They left. Slowly. Like royalty retreating from a battlefield. But the war wasn't over. I had a feeling they'd be back, and next time, they'd bring more than words. The quiet lasted all of 2 days. I kept the porch light on every night, the front door deadbolt, my phone on full charge with the camera app always open. I even bought a motion-activated camera off Amazon and installed it above the door. But deep down, I knew they weren't finished. On Thursday, I got a call at work. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. 5 minutes later, another call. Then a third, this time from a neighbor I barely knew, Mrs. Delgado, sweet older woman who bakes banana bread like it's a calling. "Carter, honey," she said, voice tight, "is your sister supposed to be moving furniture into your house?" I swear, my heart skipped a beat. "What?" I asked. "She's here with some men. A moving truck. They're taking things inside." I hung up without another word and raced home like the devil was chasing me. Sure enough, there it was, a U-Haul parked in my driveway. My driveway. With the back gate open and furniture being wheeled in like it was an HGTV special. A man I didn't recognize, late 30s, buzzcut, gym tank, was lugging in what looked like a damn crib. I slammed the brakes so hard I nearly skidded into the neighbor's trash bins. I stormed up the walkway just in time to see Annabelle standing in my living room. She turned, sipping from a soda like she'd been redecorating her castle. "Oh, hey," she said like I'd walked into her house. "Didn't think you'd be home this early. Get out." She raised a brow. "Carter, come on. We talked about this." "We did not talk. You made demands." I said no. That's the end of the story. She set the soda down on my antique coffee table. A hand-me-down from my mom. The only thing I still had of hers. "It's just until the baby comes," she said sweetly. Then a few months after. "You won't even notice I'm here." I stepped forward, but her goon of a boyfriend, or maybe hired muscle, moved between us. "Hey, man. Chill. You need to leave. All of you." "No can do," he said. "She's got a lease." He pointed to the counter. A paper sat there, printed, signed in 2 places. I picked it up and scanned it. Sure enough, lease agreement. Tenant, Annabelle Dawson. Landlord, Carter Dawson. My signature. Forged. My hand shook. "You broke into my house," I said slowly. "You forged my name on a fake lease. You are literally committing crimes right now." Annabelle's face turned from smug to something sharper. "If you call the cops," she said, "I'll tell them you assaulted me." I stared at her, stunned. "You what?" She crossed her arms, belly pushing out like a shield. "I'll say you pushed me. I'll say you threatened my baby. Who do you think they'll believe, me, or the angry single guy with a history of family issues?" The room spun. I felt like I couldn't breathe. That's when I remembered something. The camera. The brand new motion-activated camera I installed 2 nights ago. It was pointed directly at the front door. I didn't say a word. I walked straight past them, into the bedroom, and pulled my tablet from the charging dock. Connected to the camera. Pulled up the footage. And there it was. Time-stamped. Clear as day. Them unlocking the door with a spare key I'd forgotten Gregory even had. Them dragging in boxes. Her boyfriend chuckling about claiming territory. Annabelle laughing and saying, "He's too soft to call the cops." I hit download. Saved it to the cloud. Saved it to my drive. Saved it to everything. Then I dialed. 20 minutes later, 2 squad cars rolled up. Officer Bailey was back. The other officer, a woman named Samuels, asked to see the lease first. I handed it over. "This your signature?" she asked. "Hell no." She gave me a look and nodded. "You have proof of break-in?" "Better," I said, holding up the tablet. "I've got video." They watched it. Both officers looked more and more annoyed the longer it played. When it ended, Bailey turned to Annabelle. "You're going to need to come with us," he said. "What?" "No. I'm pregnant." "That doesn't excuse breaking and entering. Or forgery." Her boyfriend tried to puff up. "This is bullshit." Bailey turned to him. "You want to go too? Because you're on camera helping with an illegal entry. We can add trespassing and obstruction." The guy shut up fast. As they led Annabelle outside in cuffs, she screamed, "This is your fault. Carter, you think anyone's going to care when I tell them you made me Miss Scary?" My blood ran cold. Officer Samuels turned sharply. "You want to lie to medical staff too? Because you're already looking at multiple charges." They put her in the car. She screamed all the way down the block. Gregory showed up that night. He didn't knock. He pounded. When I opened the door, he was seething, tie undone, shirt wrinkled. Marlene hovered behind him, arms folded, looking like a Disney villain who missed a Botox appointment. "You had your sister arrested," he growled. "No," I said calmly. "She got herself arrested. Forgery, breaking and entering, false lease agreement, and a lovely little threat caught on camera." He looked at me like I was a stranger. "You've always been difficult," he said. "Always. But this? You're a disgrace." Marlene stepped forward. "We could have had this all handled as a family. Quietly. But now? You've ruined everything. You did that the second you picked her over me. The second you showed up and decided I owed you." Gregory stepped back, disgusted. "This is the last time you'll ever hear from us," he said. "Promise." He walked away. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt free. It had been 3 days since the police dragged Annabelle out of my house screaming about a fake miscarriage and forged leases. You'd think that would have been the end. You'd think the message was loud and clear. But narcissists don't retreat. They regroup. I should have known that. I was back at work, half focused on a client pitch, when my phone buzzed with a new email notification. It was from my boss, subject line, "HR urgent, complaint filed." I opened it expecting a policy update or some internal issue. Instead, I found myself staring at a formal complaint accusing me of harassment, threats, and domestic violence against my pregnant sister. The sender? Marlene Dawson. She'd emailed my job. Not just HR, but my boss, my boss's boss, and the head of legal. The language was designed to sound just serious enough to trigger panic, but vague enough to avoid immediate dismissal. It read like a soap opera script dipped in legalese. "My stepson, Carter Dawson, is currently harboring dangerous and violent tendencies. He recently had my pregnant daughter arrested after threatening her life. She feared for her safety and the safety of her unborn child." It went on like that for paragraphs, calling me unstable, accusing me of paranoia, and even alleging drug use. And then she included a screenshot, a cropped image from my own Instagram, where I'd posted a whiskey glass by the fireplace a week prior. Her caption beneath it, "Evidence of alcohol abuse, combined with violent outbursts. Please take this seriously." I just sat there numb. This woman, this discount daycare Barbie, was trying to ruin me. Not through court. Not through family. Through my job. I didn't reply to the email. I walked straight into my boss's office. She looked up, already weary. "Tell me this isn't what it looks like." "It's worse," I said, and handed her my tablet. The footage, the texts, the police report, everything. I laid it out like evidence in a courtroom. 20 minutes later, she just shook her head. "I believe you," she said. "But legal still has to do their due diligence. You'll need to work remotely until this clears." "Am I suspended?" "No," she said firmly. "But this is going to get messy." I left with a pit in my stomach. They weren't just attacking my property anymore. They were coming for my livelihood. That night, I finally called my uncle, my mom's brother, Martin. We weren't close, but he was the only blood relative on her side who hadn't ghosted me after the funeral. When he picked up, his voice cracked like he hadn't expected to hear from me. "Carter. Hey, I think I'm finally ready to talk about Dad." That conversation lasted 3 hours. Martin told me things I didn't know, about the night Gregory packed a bag and left when I was 9, about how he took money from my mom's accounts without telling her, about how he moved in with Marlene just 6 weeks after the divorce was finalized. She was his mistress. That was never public knowledge. He also said something else. Your mom left something for you. I didn't think it was the right time before, but now you might need it. 2 days later, I got a package. A weathered brown envelope with my name written in neat cursive. Inside were handwritten notes, letters, and most importantly, a copy of a will. My mom had tried to leave me something, a trust, but it was never executed because the lawyer she'd used had gone bankrupt before filing the documents. Still, there it was, proof of intention. The notes painted a very different picture of the man I called Dad. It wasn't just neglect. It was sabotage. He'd left me to rot while pouring money into Marlene and Annabelle's lifestyle, trips, spa days, private school. Meanwhile, I was rationing shampoo in a shared boarding school dorm. Suddenly, the rage wasn't just hot. It was calculated. I knew what I had to do. I compiled everything: emails, video, forged documents, the police report, even snippets of Marlene's daycare reviews where she badmouthed problem parents and bragged about disciplining other people's kids. Yes, she posted this online. Then I made a flash drive. Label: Family Fallout. Evidence packet. I didn't send it to the police. I sent it to everyone in Marlene's daycare licensing board, her parent review groups, and 3 local mommy Facebook communities where she often posted her smug parenting tips. Then I sent a separate packet to Annabelle's landlord. Turned out she'd lied about her income and hadn't paid rent in 3 months. Oops. I also sent a version to my company's legal team, not as a defense, but as offense. If they tried to touch my record based on a false claim, I'd be taking it to court, with defamation, malicious interference, and possibly even RICO, considering the forged lease. I waited. 3 days passed. Then came the firestorm. Marlene lost 3 daycare contracts overnight. Parents pulled their kids and demanded refunds. Screenshots of her emails and fake allegations went viral in the local mom groups. Someone posted a meme of her next to a raccoon in a wig with the caption, "Would you trust this woman with your child?" Annabelle got an eviction notice. She posted a sob story on Instagram about being unjustly harassed and begged for donations to support a single mom trying to heal. The top comment? Didn't you try to illegally steal your brother's house? Even Gregory, normally immune to consequences, caught blowback. A close friend of his, a retired judge, cut ties after seeing the footage. And me? HR cleared my name. My boss sent me an email that simply said, "You're good. And damn, never piss you off." I smiled for the first time in a week. Later that night, I got one more email. No subject line. No body. Just a photo. It was the outside of my house, taken from a car. Headlights off. Blurry. But clearly new. They weren't done. The photo had no caption. No timestamp. Just my house, taken from the street at night. I stared at it for a long time. Part of me wondered if it was a bluff, Marlene trying to rattle my cage now that the daycare empire was collapsing. Maybe it was Annabelle, still clinging to the hope that she could guilt me into playing daddy to her future train wreck. But deep down, I knew who sent it. Gregory. He wasn't done yet. 2 nights later, I stayed up late. I turned off all the lights. Sat in my office in complete darkness, phone screen dimmed, my new security system synced to my laptop, every camera rolling. It was 2:13 a.m. when the motion alert buzzed. Backyard camera. I flipped to the feed, and there he was. Gregory. In a hoodie, of all things. The man who used to yell at me for wearing shorts in winter was now sneaking through my backyard like a sitcom burglar. I watched him walk toward the camper, the old one I hadn't used in months. The one parked just behind the house. He had something in his hand. A canister? Then I saw the flicker. A lighter. My stomach dropped. He crouched next to the wheel well, shielding the flame with his hand. There was a small whoosh, the kind you only see when someone's using an accelerant. I was already dialing 911. The fire didn't spread far, thank God. The fire department showed up first, then the cops. Then, because the universe has a sense of irony, so did half the neighborhood, most in pajamas, phones in hand, recording the whole mess. Gregory didn't run. He stood there with soot on his hands and that same smug look, like he still thought he could talk his way out of it. When they cuffed him, he finally looked at me. "You burned everything," he hissed. I just smiled. "No, Dad. You did." They took him away for attempted arson, trespassing, and endangering the neighborhood. And because the backyard backed up against a daycare's playground fence, they hit him with attempted child endangerment. I didn't even know that was a charge, but it was. The firefighter walked up to me after the last ember fizzled out. "You okay?" I looked at the camper. Blackened. Melted. Dead. Then at the house. My house. Still standing. Untouched. "I'm good," I said. And I meant it. The fallout came fast. Gregory made bail, but disappeared off the radar. He wasn't at the court hearing. He sent a lawyer. A really bad one. The kind that advertises on park benches and misspells litigation on his business card. The judge slapped him with probation, community service, and a restraining order that now included all three of them. Annabelle, Marlene, Gregory. None of them could come within 500 feet of me or my home again. But that wasn't the end. The day after the hearing, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a folded legal document and a note written in clean, careful handwriting. "Carter, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know how bad it really was. If I had, I never would have stayed silent. I know it's late, but I hope this helps. Uncle Martin." I unfolded the paper. It was a notarized statement. Martin had gone through my mom's old paperwork after our last call. Turns out, Gregory had accessed one of her savings accounts during the divorce, emptied it, transferred it to a new account under Marlene's name, then claimed she spent it on accident. He stole over $40,000. I sat down hard. Martin included one more page, an affidavit he'd signed. He was going to testify. Said he'd known for years, but kept quiet because he thought Gregory would make it right someday. Guess he got tired of waiting. Fast forward 2 months. I got a letter from a lawyer. Gregory and Marlene had filed for bankruptcy. The daycare was gone. Marlene owed back taxes. Annabelle, evicted again. Her OnlyFans was shut down for terms violations, and last I heard, she was living in a motel with a GoFundMe called Single Mama Deserves a Mansion. The final twist? My house, was being eyed by a local developer. They made me an offer. A very generous one. Enough to buy something bigger, quieter, and far away from the ghosts of these people. But I said no. Because this house? It's not just bricks and wood. It's the proof that I survived them. It's been 6 months now. I changed my locks, my number, my routines. Every so often, I still get weird mail. A sympathy card. A baby announcement with no return address. A single pacifier left on my porch. I know it's her, but I don't engage. Because you can't win with people who think blood is a contract. You can only walk away and build a better life.